Hey, it's Juan for Pedals and Effects, and I'm with Ikey and Dennis from Free Moral Agents.
Hello.
And we are lucky to have them kind of give us their pedal take. They have this amazing new record coming out called
Chaine Infinie.
Chaine Infinie.
Yeah.
And it is awesome. I'm lucky to hear a couple of tracks off the test pressing that they were cutting up on. And it was awesome. And so I thought maybe we could ask them like what kind of effects they use, the perspectives that they use. I mean, Ikey and I, obviously we go way back in the Mars Volta, and you know, Ikey had pedal boards, I had pedal boards, and it's comfortable, familiar territory with us. So on the new record, what did you, what pedal, some of the stuff you guys were using on it?
For me, actually, for the keyboards, I didn't go too crazy. I used a lot of basic delays, a lot of the Ibanez Sound Tank stuff that we were talking about.
Right.
Kind of, I didn't want to go for this approach to keyboards to be too kind of stuff you've heard before. So I used a lot of janky pedals.
Right.
And then I used also that Mantic. What is that?
Conceptual.
Yeah, that one as well. And I did a lot of effects. Kind of with the Space Echo, also use the Effectron a lot. Tape Eliminator that kind of Miguel, our friend, their next record kind of brought into the into what's going on, and that's kind of was basically it for me. I didn't go crazy in the keyboards for this.
Right.
You know, I wanted to leave more room for kind of the bass because it was just really more or less of a rock record and more of like kind of a little bit more of an electronic record. So Dennis had a lot more kind of going on.
And you know, I think what's important is that, you know, like what Ikey said, is like he didn't want to use a lot of effects because you can't have everybody running effects, everybody hitting remodulators at the same time. It's just not going to have definition. So you got to, everything has to have space, and everybody gets that time to shine type approach. And so, like you said, you got off of it, and then Dennis takes over, and he maybe has a little bit more out there and some freedom with it. So Dennis, why don't you let them know what you were running?
Well, I was running mainly the Mark-based synthesizer pedal.
Right.
That was used extensively on the new record. I also just used the basic Boss bass distortion pedal. The Mantic pedal got used.
Right.
That's mainly it. I mean, it was a fairly basic, simplified setup, but that Mark-based synth pedal gets so many different great sounds on it that it was just a lot of it was just layering. Just a lot of it was just layering sounds.
Right. You could just pull a lot from that pedal.
Yeah.
I mean, I just seeing what you were doing when you were running the drums through it. That alone, why you don't really need to experiment with a lot more, because that thing's giving you so much. It just seemed like you were pulling up endless amounts of sounds, and I'm like, man, I got to get one of those pedals.
You could do a remix just to those pedals,
right?
You know what I mean,
Pretty
like
much.
he's like basically doing his own all the harmonics and modulations, key changing and changing chords. It's like trying to play along, as you saw, it was kind of like, all right,
That's awesome.
And I think I used a little bit of that. Why am I drawing a blank? Totally having a blank.
Sound blocks.
Yeah. I was using a lot of that Sound Blocks pedal. The
envelope.
Yeah, the envelope filter. Yeah. And I used that probably on. I think I used it on our Dear Drummer a little bit, but that was kind of pedal overload on that.
On our new record, and then on this, we're using on some live stuff we did, and then on this record, on the EP, I used some of the tracks I did for Chaine Infinie are there. Yeah. And then do that, and then that one we just played you. Right. It gets that rumble that. The reason I kind of focused more on the bass effects was I wanted people to put it in. I didn't want it to bump. That guy Sully. That whole, he's got sub, it's like you don't want this thin sounding rock record. I hate that.
Right.
I want to sound new, so it's like the low end had a bump, and who cares about new effects on like a keyboard? Like on there, those pedals were able to kind of just give everything that.
Right.
And they're not like an oscillator where it's predictable. A lot of what's nice about it is kind of unpredictable. And you don't know what quite is going to go on with them, and so.
That's what I love about I mean, I prefer most of the time I should say, pedals that are unpredictable, because to me that kicks in inspiration. If you know what the pedal's going to do, I mean, it's cool and you can pull it up when you know you want to do a certain thing. But when a pedal, you don't know what the hell it's going to give you, that's when, and next thing you know, you're going places that you couldn't even fathom when you started, earlier.
The Blue Box, man.
Yeah.
Even MXR says that this is our most unpredictable pedal, right? In the manual,
right.
They're just this sales thing. It's like,
that's awesome.
I think every time, you never know, you better track it then, because it's not going to be the same again. I don't know if I want a blue shirt, but you better track it then, or it's just going to change. So